You know, I'm kind of amazed at Democrats that don't want an ID to vote, because if you want to buy a beer, you got to have an ID. When I get on a plane, got to have an ID. You got to have an ID to do unimportant things in life. Shouldn't you have an ID to vote? You know, if you put me in charge, I'll get together a release in which every serious presidential candidate has got to release all grade school, high school, college, law school, medical school records. All medical records have got to be released. All private papers have to be released. I'd give them all an IQ test to see how smart they are. I want to see their birth certificate. I want to see their passport records. I want to know everything about them, because I don't trust the media to investigate, because they investigate Republicans differently than they investigate Democrats. I like to know everything. I like to give some IQ tests to some members of Congress to see how smart they are. If you would apply to get a CDL and drive a truck, you'd have to get urine tests, background checks, FBI checks. You'd have to have applications. You'd have to sign releases to have these companies go into your history if you want to drive a truck. But if you want your finger on the nuclear trigger, you got to release nothing, and it's acceptable. There was a book written about me about 2 years ago with my approval, and I had to sign releases with the editor and with the publicist, with the author, and with the literary agent to allow them to investigate me to determine if things I said in my book were in fact accurate, so it wouldn't come back and bite him in the hindsight. So in 1991, Obama said to his literary agent, "Here is who I am." Obama said, "I was born in Kenya." He said he was raised in Indonesia, in Hawaii. Now, and he kept that literary agent bio on websites for like 16 years. Now, that ought to be one of the biggest stories in the world, which came out on Wednesday, and no so-called legitimate media outlet dealt with it. Nothing. Zero. Zilch. Nothing. Now, why is that? I've had enough of the Roman columns. I've had enough of the stars. I've had enough of the skyrockets in flight. I've had enough of the trips to Broadway with Michelle on a date in Air Force One. I've had enough of the trips to Spain and the trips to Italy and the trips to South America and the trips to the Far East. I would like to have a boring president who is competent rather than a superstar in the White House. I want a boring, competent person to go through the federal budget and axe all the unnecessary programs and personnel. I want a boring president that will hold down taxes, give us more freedom, and take away rules and regulations that serve as an impediment to economic growth. I want a very boring person to be the next president. I've had a superstar, and it's not going very well.